Yo, what is up, everybody? I'm not going to say welcome back because this will be a first in a series, I hope. But today we're joined with the infamous John Hammond, or I guess the cybersecurity Ed Sheeran. I wanted to dress up as you, but I didn't have the chance to get my hair and beard dyed. Thanks for joining us, dude. What's going on?
Well, hey, Halloween's over, so that's okay. All good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me join the party here, Ben. This is awesome. Stoked to chat.
Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I'll just get straight into it. You know, one of the main reasons that I wanted us to have this conversation today, obviously we spoke back in March. You know, we talked sort of where you're at in terms of health and fitness and what was going on. But I think for me, more than anything, it's understanding, I guess, your persona within the industry and I guess the influence that you have. And, you know, as again, we spoke about, my mission with all of this is to, in the nicest way possible, set the standard for health within cybersecurity. I think there's a lot that we can talk on, but I want to start with you. So your public persona, the online educator, YouTuber, speaker, conference goer, I see the travel, the management of YouTube, the assuming you have to do your actual job and run a business in yourself. Yeah. What does a day look like for you? How do you navigate it all?
Oh, goodness. Well, I guess there's a lot to dive into because we could talk about how I have operated and how I am trying to get a little bit better. But, you know, for a long while, when we spoke way back in March earlier in this year, I was coming to you like, look, dude, I am falling apart. I'm a little bit trying to keep up. I'm drowning a little bit with all the stuff that I'm juggling, just spinning a lot of plates. And there were a lot of kind of late nights just to be able to do all the things that I was trying to do. And truth be told, it hasn't really slowed down. It never does. It just gets to be more and more and more. So it was always staying up late. I don't know if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning sometimes, and then waking up to dive back into meetings and get back to work and kind of do that cycle over and over and over again. And I'll be the first to admit, I sort of let health fall to the wayside just because I need to get more done. I've been a little bit more cognizant of that. I think so. Later on this year, we got to DEF CON, Black Hat, kind of August timeframe, and we just moved, got a new house where we're living. And with that, I'm like, all right, sweet. Let me start fresh. Let me get a new blank canvas and try to get a better routine. Go to bed at a normal human time, eat normal human food, do normal human healthy, a little bit of exercise and workout when I can. And that has been sort of ebb and flow, but whole lot to dive into that. I'm still losing my grip every now and again, but much more cognizant, like, shoot, I'm going to burn the candle at both ends even more than I already have if I just keep running at this pace with that cannonball mentality.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I think the last time we spoke, we were mapping out what travel looked like, and it was more a case of how many days am I at home versus how many days I'm not. I guess my additional, we'll come back to that because I think there's a lot to delve into in terms of like what the pressures are and the time commitments in general within the industry. But with you specifically, like what drives it? You know, what keeps you going to do all of these things? Like even you said there, and the last time we spoke, you said you would work until you couldn't. You would go home for dinner. After dinner, you would come back to work until you couldn't again, get a couple of hours sleep, and then get up and do it all over again.
Yeah. Well, truth be told, it's fun. Like I still enjoy, like I really love doing all the things that I do. Like there's a real passion and fulfillment in there. And being able to help get education out the door, sharing silly YouTube videos, chasing hackers, cutting up malware, doing stuff that I do for the day job, and then getting training and all these things. It feels good. Like it feels like, okay, I'm really trying to move the needle and make a difference and make an impact. And when we catch that stride, like when I've got that momentum, I'm happy. It feels good. But more often than not, I think especially this year, I would just run up against the wall, and then would find, okay, how do I reorient, refocus, and do that over and over and over again? There was some silly joke that I used to say when I had the cannonball mentality, like burnout. Yeah, sure. I eat burnout for breakfast. And silly thing to say, but you know, I think there's a time and place for that. And then back and forth. maybe sometimes you rest and catch up. So
Yeah, fair. The I mean, I relate on the enjoying it. You know, it seems like it's being a part of a bigger mission and
yeah.
making a change and actually making a difference. And it's you know, in a similar instance, like I understand the things that I should be doing for my health, and obviously that's what I teach, and you know, I get it. But I really like when I get into something, or like I don't mind spending the time or the hours or whatever goes into it because I enjoy it. I feel like it's something that is beneficial and worthwhile. So I relate on that. Um, Whenever you first started out in cybersecurity, was this always the mission, or was it just a career? How you feel like the career has become more than just a job?
Um. Well, when the YouTube channel started or so, like a decade and a half ago, no, it never had any intent or idea that it would kind of become what it is, what it became. It has grown and blossomed in the ways that I never expected, and never really planned on, or I don't want to say I didn't want, like, hey, all of us, oh, isn't it be cool to grow a community, to learn and share and grow together? Um, but I didn't know that it would just, oh yeah, now consume each and every kind of end of my life.
Yeah, yeah. Or even like the YouTube stuff, new to YouTube, but like understanding at a very entry level what goes into it. Like it is no joke. It's not just a
Yeah.
case of show up, record the video. It's like trying to work out how everything, you know, thumbnail, the title, the scripting, the whole thing. Like it is a full time job in itself. Plus you
Yeah.
have to do your job. Plus you have to run a business. Plus travel and everything else. So there's a lot going on. We'll touch on the B word. You mentioned there in jest. I see it a lot, and you know, I deal with people all the time, and it's having an understanding that it is a problem within the industry. But you know, in your experience, what's your personal experience with burnout, and what do you see in the industry around you?
Um, I think the degree that it hits really varies. Because at the end of a long day of work, hey, I'm understanding that I'm at my wit's end and I want to sit on the couch and I want to watch some TV or play video games or just relax and just chill out. And maybe that ebbs and flows different days. Sometimes, oh, I'll chip away on my laptop. I'll answer a few emails. I'll keep doing work, air quotes, even into the late hours of the night. And we're trying to relax and unwind, just to keep staying productive, air
Hmm.
quotes. Um, but other times, it's like, all right, this need or whatever desire, whatever crash to let me just keep playing games. Let me just keep goofing off. I don't want to work anymore because I'm just so kind of tired of it. I don't, the passion and that spark isn't there. And that's when I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, I'm in a big burnout lull. And if that lasts a couple days or a week, I'm just like, is this seasonal depression? Is this am I done? Am I cooked? Is the career over? I don't know. But just kind of fighting and charging on through it. Eventually you spring back into action, or I found myself to do so. And I hope
Yeah,
others do just as well. But maybe that, yeah, timing, the duration, had the degree and intensity of how crappy you feel, it totally varies.
yeah, fair. So you know, you have those. I don't want to say coping mechanisms, but almost defaults that you'll go to for a little bit of a reset, like you said,
Yeah,
gaming or watch something. Is there any elements of that that you know feel? Do you ever feel guilty for not working or not doing the thing?
all the time. Just about every single time. And that's part of that's probably the worst part, is like, oh man, why am I wasting my time doing this when I could be getting something else done? And I'll start kicking myself and beating myself up over that. And it just kind of, spirals the circle even more.
Yeah, yeah, fair. You mentioned there about the passion. So whenever you feel like a passion, you don't necessarily want to go back to work. Like, how much of this is driven by the passion to do the thing, to make the difference, to share the knowledge versus the pressure of like having to keep up or feeling like you have to keep up?
That, I think, was the change. Like, I think that was the transition, because the passion, the joy, the fulfillment and love for doing all this is still there, like, without a doubt. But it is now, okay, it's become a thing that it is in its own right. Now there is a certain amount of unspoken pressure. And whether or not it's real or not, like I know that's self-inflicted, but I scroll through social media, like I'm doom scrolling on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I see others that are crushing it. I see folks doing incredible things, sharing sweet research, doing whatever they can in the gym. Maybe some folks are, I don't know, sharing their new certificates, their new job. And I compare myself to them. I'm like, maybe the same as any of us do. And then I'm like, how could I compete? How could I keep up? Why am I even in the fight if everyone else is already ahead? And those are the things that are what bog me down and would get the like vengeance of like, I'm going to stay up late just to get back at, just to bed revenge, you know?
Yeah. So it's, I guess, a mixture of both. Like it's
Yeah.
still passion driven, the passion's still there, but you do feel the pressure, whether it's self-inflicted or it's external. It's definitely there in terms of keeping up. I will recommend this is a recent finding of my own, to stop the doom scrolling. The Opal app will literally destroy your phone. Like you cannot, I physically can't get into social. I set the time boundaries. I physically cannot get into social media, and it's been the biggest productivity tool that I've ever had, is not being able to get on my phone for social media.
What was the name of it?
Opal, OPAL, Opal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Opal.
final boss for not, like, it makes your phone completely useless based on your settings. One question to sort of, I guess, tie this back to what you mentioned about, you know, the things that you do to mentally reset. If I were to give you an additional hour, an extra hour in your day, just for you, that you weren't allowed to work, what would you do?
Oh, that's a hard question.
I get it. It's hard because people are like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, work. I'm like, what else do you do? I'm like, well, I work also.
My knee-jerk reaction, like the immediate response, was like, I'd sleep. And maybe that's awful. That might be a bad red flag on its own. So
Fair. Well, let's touch on the sleep, because we, you know, when we spoke earlier in the year, sleep wasn't necessarily a priority.
yeah,
How's that going?
it's going a lot better. I think with kind of the setup that we have now in the new space in the new house, we've got a little garage downstairs that I have made sort of a home gym kind of thing. And I'm trying, and I have been trying, and again, it falters here and there, but I at least have the guiding light of like, look, if I can get to bed 9:30 or 10, and I can wake up at like 7:30, maybe if I can push myself earlier to wake up earlier, I can get down there. And even if I just walk on the treadmill for an hour, even if I just walk on the treadmill, set the incline to the highest that it can, hey, that's something. That's better than nothing. And I've at least been, you know, having some momentum in that. And if there's a couple extra minutes, maybe I can get some weightlifting in, just small, simple stuff with dumbbells. So very small, very cursory, but that's better than zero, which is what I was at before.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I think it's something is better than nothing. And especially like, I'm noticing it more and more on myself. You know, I came from the background of working on the gym floor and being on my feet all day and walking to work, and I was like super active. And now I essentially have a desk job, and I know what it's like to be sat here, and I can get lost in a task and like 10 hours go by, and I'm like, oh, I should probably do something else rather than sitting at this desk. So like any sort of movement. And I think that's often the barrier that people have. They think that they need, you know, 2 hours to go and work out, and you just can't carve out the time, which is fair. But like you said, just actually even starting the day with some sort of intentional movement, the benefits that you'll have throughout the day, you know, beyond doing just nothing, or, you know, it's a worthwhile task, we will say, for sure.
It's been really cool if just to have the beginning structure of a routine. Because I'll be honest, you know, hey, I'll put on the early episodes of the We Hack Health podcast. So I'm listening to you and Dave and the beginnings, trying to chopping this up, and that's been cool. That's been good to again try to get on the right path. But then it's like, well, I can actually eat breakfast. Like I woke up early enough that I can have some food, and I'm not just powering on because I woke up late like I used to.
Yeah.
So the beginnings, and again, I don't get every day, but I'm happy to have seen what that structure looks like, even, and now I can keep pushing towards that.
Yeah. I mean, that's my start point with most people. It's like, what can you do that's reasonable for you to manage as a baseline non-negotiable? And generally what happens is maybe this is something you're experiencing, or at least a thought process. It's like, okay, I feel the benefit of this thing and I'm maybe more productive or whatever it might be. So I know that if I do potentially more of this thing, then I will get more of that feeling. And it just sort of gradually increases from there. And I'm only bringing this in because you mentioned Dave and the podcast. Whenever we spoke, and I actually think in the questionnaire that you filled out initially on the question about someone you admire, you brought up Dave as someone who can manage it all. That's why you admire him. Give me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, way back when, in the early days of even just my own YouTube channel, there was some opportunity, some way, somehow that I think someone had put together, and it was a chance, hey, to chat with Dave on a YouTube video. And I was still kind of getting into the industry, getting smart in the community, and finding my way. And I had no idea, like the amount of influence and all that he does, and all his incredible accomplishments and achievements. And now he's, and for at least from the outside looking in, right? This is totally just me sitting on the bench, but he's got his life locked in. He's got the health, he's got the business, he's got everything that he's up to. And I can't help but fanboy. Maybe a couple folks listening are feeling the same way. So yeah, without a doubt, you see the folks that I think you can admire in the industry, and Dave's up there for me. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, fair. And I mean, exactly the same. Like Dave was, I guess, my introduction to this industry on the whole.
Yeah.
Like whenever I first spoke to him, it was just somebody who reached out that needed some help and wanted coaching, and I had absolutely no idea who he was or anything about cybersecurity. And the more that I get into it, the more people, I was like, number one, where are all these people coming from? Number two, who is Dave? Like, what the fuck is going on here? And I think that, that has obviously led me to this path, and it's brought the, starting the podcast and the We Hack Health and the mission that we're now behind. So like his influence, not only on the industry as what the industry stands for, but the change that we want to make within the industry. I mean, I think we're in the right direction. We've got the momentum for sure. But yeah, he has it all locked in. I don't know how many hours he has in his day or how many versions of Dave there are, but he seems to get it all done without question. So yeah, I agree on that. Touching a little bit then on the industry, my observation is, and I'll just be straight up, like I see as seems to be a health and lifestyle crisis. It seems to be there is rewarding the grind, the hustle culture, everything behind it. Do you think that the all-nighters and the hero stories and the staying up late, do you think that that's just the way that it is? Do you think that the culture is changing? Do you see any difference in that? And maybe and that, again, this is an observation on my side that I see it from both sides. So I'll take Dave for an example. I would see Dave, whenever I first spoke to him, as somebody who had put everything into his career and neglected his own health. And I now see it on the other side of the younger generation coming up, that they see their potential future, that if they do neglect their health, that's where they're going to end up.
Honestly, I agree. I think I have done the all-nighters. I have done the long nights. I've done the work hard. And I still do, like every now and again. It's kind of more in moderation, just to know and have the barometer as to, okay, when is it worth putting in all of this hard work and hard effort? But when can I just keep myself sane? When can I protect myself? That's not a selfish thing. That's just knowing, like, I need my time and I need to invest in myself and my health and my feeling, right? But I would agree, a lot of those staying up all night, hacking away, cutting up malware, doing whatever anyone might do, that's kind of glamorized, just because there is so much more work that comes out of that when folks do it. But I know when I hit the wall, like when I knew that I held my hand on the stove for too long, everyone else might feel the same thing. Maybe there'll be a point where you're like, holy crap, I just can't do this anymore. I can't keep beating myself up like that. Or you just start to weigh the trade-offs because life gets in the way. Hey, family, hey, new commitment, something else changes, and you just got to change your perspective. I got married recently, and that's like, look, I want to be alive for not just myself, but for my wife.
Yeah, for Yeah, it's the again, it's the priorities change, your responsibilities change. Maybe a younger version of you that didn't have anybody else to think about could just do that. But
Right.
it's not just I want to be alive for longer, but I actually want to be useful in the older age. And people are starting to talk about longevity and sort of what they can put in place. I would say we are both agreeing that we can see the younger generation coming in, seeing a shift within that, and a lot more awareness, I guess, around the cost. It's is it worth it? And sometimes yes, might be, but it's being aware that you can't just do 100% all of the time, because there will be a nasty, brutal end of that, and you're not much use to anybody whenever you can't operate your keyboard, essentially.
Right.
What's one truth about the industry that no one wants to admit?
Ooh, super good question. I might have to keep thinking a little bit, truth be told. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think the mental health, the burnout, the fatigue, the imposter syndrome, all that stuff just runs deep. And no matter where you are or how far along you are in your career or you think of success, there's the kind of exhaustion that you just have to fight and fend off, and the context switching, and that never
Mhm.
really goes away. At least I have not figured out how to fend that off, but I feel like it is something that, okay, you're in the ring to wrestle and to fight it and to get better at that, uh, trying to wrestle that. I don't know if people talk about that all that often, especially the folks that do look like they're the star, industry titan, whatever celebrity of the community and industry, blah, blah, blah. I've tried to shine a light on that here and there when I can. We're like, hey, Cybersecurity Awareness Month is finally over. It's finally dead, because that was running me ragged, and maybe a lot of us
Yeah.
too. But I hope we could start to have more of those conversations. It's not to be silly, cheesy, oh, mental health, more conversations on that, just for the warm and fuzzies. But it's like, really, we all start to feel it.
Mhm.
And when we can take a break and reorient, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And even before October and Dylan and I were planning the content, I was like, surely there's some element that we can do specifically for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Not that I'm going to be involved in it, but like how the people who are in the trenches can manage their health. And actually, we touched
Yeah.
on it this morning. Is maybe we will invent a Cybersecurity Health Awareness Month that maybe comes in November, whenever people are trying to
Nice.
put themselves back together. If you and I were to redesign the industry culture, what's one thing that we would change? What's the first thing that we would change?
I wouldn't want as much glamour and it to be as glorified as that hardcore grit, hustle, stay up late, hack along, whatever energy drinks. And I'm guilty. Like we've all done that. We still
Same.
do.
I'd same. I mean, not
Yeah.
with hacking, but like same. I get it.
uh, I'm sure there's more we could tweak and tune, but I know that's where I've feel myself get a little burnt and worn out too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Do you think that's what it takes? I imagine the assumption is that, like you said, it's glamorized. So the people coming up, they're like, okay, well, this is how that person got there. This is what I need to do. Do you think that is what it takes, or do you think that there's a way? And I guess this sort of feeds into the balance, work-life
yeah.
balance. Do you think that that's real, or it's just the management of chaos?
I don't know if I have a good answer because I I know a lot of the things that I've been able to do have come from those long nights, that hard work, the time that we put into it, and getting smarter, getting sharper, doing all these things. And I felt like those are things. Okay, I'm crushing at a fast enough pace that has been able to set life up well. And when I get to chat with people, when I get to communicate and talk or present in a panel or do any of these silly things, um, my wife, Caitlin, lovely, she's been an incredible life coach. She said, like, I don't know if people know the amount of time that you've stayed up late, worked hard, poured into it, and how that has accumulated over however many years. Uh, because that helps. That's not to say, oh, that's all it takes, but that's part of it. There's no
Mhm.
denying that. So When we're thinking of this a little bit more strategically, though, again, trying to wean away from the amount of hardcore hustle and grind, right? That you can play a long game. Like you can take the time that you need to do this over however many years, and it's gonna take a long time, but you're gonna get there. It doesn't need to be a race, but maybe if you think of it, okay, whatever marathon analogy, let yourself run at your own pace.
Yeah, fair. I say I completely agree on the not seeing the R's, and the way that I'll sort of frame this. A friend of mine mentors coaches, and he has a large group of coaches, and
Hmm.
not to like they look at me as I would like the life that you have and the business that you have. And I've spoken in front of them before, and I'm like, you see the stuff that you see, but you don't see the stuff as to what it actually takes. And it's like they like the idea of it, but the reality of actually doing it, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
And the sort of questions that I leave them with is like, be willing to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice, and what am I not willing to sacrifice? And when you know those two things, you've got pretty good guardrails around, like, I guess, the speed that you can achieve what you want to achieve.
I got to be honest, I've been tuning into a lot of your podcasts and some of the things to look and find the tweaks, the hacks, the
Mhm.
what are the potential cheat codes, not to say cheats by any means, but how can I better fine tune and optimize and streamline what I now know is a better goal for kind of
Mhm.
my health and my life. I got the old MyFitnessPal installed. I'm trying to be better about counting calories and macros and all those things, and got a couple things to make sure I get to sleep. And I'm still on the hunt for those. Maybe I don't know if there are any that are worthwhile or still valuable, or any advice you might give. How how can we get out of that mindset? I know that's the biggest thing, of balancing and finding the strategy to get out of the nonstop cannonball mentality, hustle and grind. What do
I
you
think
think?
it's for me. It's a if we take sleep as an example, this is probably the biggest thing that I deal with people.
Yeah.
It's not getting enough sleep, staying up too late, waking up too late, and then they just get into chaos. The sleep thing for me is set your boundaries. Like, if you have an understanding of the time that you want or need to be awake, working backwards from that, and understand, okay, how many hours sleep do I need to get? What does that mean for everything that comes before that? What time do I need to like switch off, wind down? What's my wind down routine? How do I go from like I'm at my computer to like, okay, I'm chilling, I'm going to sleep? Like, how long does that take, and what does that look like? When do I have my last meal so that my food's digested and I'm not um I'm not tossing and turning at night trying to digest food. And then even going backwards from that further, caffeine. Like, I would imagine that a lot of people listening, caffeine is probably their main food group. So when do you switch that off? When do you cut that off? Because all of these things will impact your sleep. And I truthfully think the two main drivers for more energy, more focus, and the ability to not have more hours in your day, but have better quality hours throughout your day, is the sleep and the quality that you have, and your hydration. And I bang on until laughs at me every time we do a YouTube video and I'm talking about hydration. I'm like, I cannot emphasize enough to make sure that you stay hydrated, because that one thing alone, it is the cheapest thing. It's the biggest bang from the buck. The biggest ROI from something you can do is making sure that you're hydrated. And a lot of people, and I see it all the time, they're like, well, I can't start my day until I have coffee. And I'm like, bro, you're just dehydrated because you've been asleep and you haven't drank in 6 to 8, hopefully, hours. So the sort of phrase that we have internally is hydrate before you caffeinate. And I think if you can nail your sleep and you can nail your hydration, you can get more done in the hours that you have versus trying to get more hours from your day.
I need to be better about a lot of the H2O and water and real hydration, because I still treat an energy drink as hydration.
Yeah, I would say, and for me, the recommendation and how I still start my day every day, I fill up like a wee health shaker. I don't have one at hand, which is about just under a liter, and that's the first thing that I have
Nice.
throughout the day. And then I have this sits beside me, and it's funny whenever I'm on group calls that I'm like, as soon as someone takes a drink, you see everybody in the call, but I need everyone's taking a drink. So it's
Yeah.
like by environment more than anything else. So yeah, I would say those are the two main things to start to unpack. and then begin, like you said, to add some sort of movement, something that detaches you from all of this, because you can be so connected online that, you know, you don't go out and take a walk, or you don't actually go outside and, you know, have sunlight or fresh air, like you said, normal people stuff, which is hilarious because I have the light on, obviously, because we're recording. That's usually off, and I just sit in the dark the majority of the day. And obviously, because of the time of the year, I get here in the dark and I leave in the dark. So I'm not exactly here to say that I'm nailing it. So I do get it and I understand, but those are the things that I would start to implement. They're the biggest drivers for what you can get from yourself throughout the day versus just, you know yourself. There's a time and a point throughout the day where your work rate deteriorates, but you knuckle through because you feel like you need to get the stuff done, because there's always stuff to do. So if we can improve the quality of the hours that you actually spend doing the work and get more from those hours, it's not always about more hours.
I had a moment, maybe. So I got to lay out the timeline, and forgive me, but I think we got to the new house in August. I got to kind of go all in for a little bit of time in September to have this new routine, to go to sleep at normal hours, and to work out here and there in the morning. When October hit, it imploded because Cybersecurity Awareness Month, conference, travel, speaking, and that was really tough to juggle and meet all the deadlines and try to stay with it. So now we're in November when we get a chance to chat and what I'm up to. Now I'm trying to get back aligned and in line with that structure. But I remember in September, some timeline, because I was awake, because I woke up early, because I was able to get some time in the gym, and even if it was small, simple walk in the treadmill thing, and I can get to my desk at like 8 or 8:30, 9, whatever. If I smartly had a whole lot of work meetings and calls scheduled more for the afternoon, it's like, oh, I could actually record. I can actually try to get content and try to get some of the other efforts and spinning plates handled. And that used to be stuff that couldn't happen until 11 or 12 p.m. at midnight, after the sun had already gone down. So it's like, this could work. This formula almost kind of makes sense. Who knew? Imagine that. So
but I think even with myself, I'm very aware of the times that I am better at doing certain things.
Oh yeah.
Like, I know when I'm best for recording. Like I said, with Dylan, I know that we can sit and we can script out and whatever, and then there's a window that I am optimal, let's say, for recording, and then there's a bit where it will deteriorate, and then there's a bit later on where again I'm good and I can manage it. So I think even that, and I will, I always sort of caveat, I realize that I'm very fortunate and I'm in control a lot of my time. So I set my schedule as to when people can book calls. I know when I can do stuff, and I'm pretty much fully in control for the majority of the time. So I can block those times off with understanding. But I think, again, understanding when you're at your best to do certain tasks. You know yourself, there are some tasks that you can sort of do on autopilot that you don't really need full capacity to do, that you just need to do. Schedule those for the times that you don't feel like you're at 100%. But yeah, understanding that things can get done in the morning whenever you actually give yourself a morning to do them. I'm very much and always have been a get up, like 4:35, come here, I'll train, and then I'm ready to go work at 6:00. And I get the majority of my stuff done in the day. And the fortunate thing for me is, time zone wise, I get all my work done before America wakes up and my clients wake up. So whenever that time comes, I have the day-to-day tasks done, and I can have the calls and do whatever else. So I find something that really works for me. And I think a lot of my learnings in my own journey, not necessarily specific to, I'm not a hacker, and I work cybersecurity adjacent, I would say, but I still have the same similar pressures. I still have stuff to do, and I still have a lot of tasks to manage. So I think a lot of my own journey has fed into what I teach and what I educate. And then obviously from working with however many hundreds of people over the past 5 years.
Can I ask, because I know, hey, when I'm at home, it feels like, hey, there's a routine, hey, there's something I can fall into and I can get in step. But when trying to squeeze in travel, trying to get conferences, trying to do events, I'm stuck in a hotel room. I don't know if I'm sharing a hotel room with some teammates. I'm still trying to navigate and find, what do I do when I'm out on work? And I know you and Dave have had these conversations as part of the podcast, but I'd love to, again, if there's any more insight as to how do you juggle that part when we can plan and maybe have our own routine usually, but uh-oh, new vulnerabilities coming out of the sky, work is piling up, I gotta be on call, so to speak, and then I gotta go travel and be at some hotel for however long. uh, any thoughts on juggling there and then?
The way that I frame it is you have your at home routine when you're
Yeah.
as in control as you can be. We try and establish travel routines as well.
Mhm.
So understanding that your time's not going to be your own. You don't have the same setup in terms of food availability. You don't have the same setup in terms of your gym, but having at least some sort of structure that you just default to whenever you're on the move, whether that is, whether it's a 1 day thing or a week or something that you know that you can implement whenever those times do come up. And for me, it's just a set baseline non-negotiables that you get done no matter what. And it's maybe not, it's maybe not a 45-minute workout. It's maybe just 20 minutes on the treadmill, like you said, or maybe it's a just go out for a walk. It's a just keep the momentum within like the training or the movement to tick the box so that it's not a on and off the wagon thing. So like a lot of the times that I would hear is people say they fall off the wagon whenever they're away for a couple of days or a week or whatever, and they feel like they get a ball. I'm like, what if we just had some level of keeping one foot on the wagon at all times, that you just tick the box that you got, even if it's wake up and do 10 press ups, you've still ticked the box, you've done something. The hydration one is, it's relatively easy whenever you're on the move. Nutrition is a difficult one. Managing your calories, how to manage your calories when you don't know what you're eating because you're in a restaurant and you can't necessarily track it. I think, again, something is better than nothing within that. I also have myself sort of go-tos. And again, the laughs is anytime we land in America, I'm like, right, I'll either Uber Eats to the hotel or I'll go to a 7-Eleven, I'll pick up any sort of protein snacks and understand that it's not in any way optimal, but it's practical for the situation. And it's just controlling what you can control and understanding that whenever you're on the move. Looking at what you have around you. So the hotel you're staying at, what's the breakfast options available? Can I front load protein as much as possible throughout the day? Is there a fitness center, which usually is not ideal, we'll say, or is there a gym close by that I can actually nip out and get something done? And maybe not specifically, and maybe this is the case, for yourself, but having the conversations with the team or the people around you of, look, this thing's important to me, of I just want to get a workout in. Can we filter that in somewhere? Can I grab an hour to go and get that done before, during, or after at any point? Because I think a lot of the time there is assumptions with people and with companies and placed on themselves of, oh, I can't get my workout in because I'm traveling for work. I'm just say, just ask, ask your boss, ask your manager, whoever you need to ask the question to, can I just grab an hour because this is important to me? So set your non-negotiables, whatever they may be. I try and work out every other day if possible. I'll use a hotel gym if I need, and I'll just adapt the workout. And even if it is a case of it's absolute chaos, I'll use Vegas and DEF CON last year as an example. I mean, I was in a gym because I was coaching people, but I did not train. But I got some sort of movement in at some point throughout the day because it just allowed me to tick the box, and I tried to get that in at least every other day. But it's accepting that there will be a lot more things out of your control and just establishing what your baseline non-negotiables are to make the things that are important to you, whatever they are.
I have a friend, another content creator over on the side. He's with Trilogy Media, kind of tracking down scammers or predators in a whole wide world. But it was so cool to meet him in person because Art, he's a big guy. He's kind of jacked. He's put the time in to build himself up to be a good looking dude. He looks good in a shirt. And we got to meet in person, and some of the other buddies that we were with were like, Art, how did you do this? How did you get this physique? And his answer that I might never forget, I think it stuck with me. He said, like, look, honestly, just the gym. I know people make their jokes, whatever, but it's church. It's church for me. It is my church. I go there to put the time that he needs. And I was like, dang, that's so cool. Because I'm a little envious, a little jealous. Like, man, I want that. I want to be able to have that time as someone that you just have to go fill out and make sure is in your schedule, just because you've built enough of the discipline that you just love being there. Eventually, hopefully I'll get that too.
I mean, you said that you want it. You can create it. it starts with, like you said, the bits and pieces you do in the morning. Can you extend that? Does it look a little bit more? Is there, a starting basic workout that you can do to tick the box? And that's where I think it compounds over time, and the momentum sort of builds, and you have that feel good factor of, if I do this thing, I feel better.
Yeah.
So maybe I should do more of this thing. And again, I've had plenty of conversations, like you and I spoke initially, people are like, well, I can only commit 2 20-minute sessions per week. And I think it's a little bit like they look at me as if there's no way you're going to okay that. And I'm like, this is better than nothing. And then the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, they're like, well, maybe I could stretch them to 30 minutes, or maybe I could do 3, or maybe I could do 4. And then all of a sudden they're working out 4 times a week. And I'm like, where did all this time come from? Do you have the same amount of hours in your day? So it's like it's just establishing that something's better than nothing. And I think there is an element that's a little bit daunting, that they need to go from 0 to like full 90-minute, training leg day. Like, you don't need to do that. You just need to like get some momentum with movement along the way. And it just becomes a part of your life. And the sort of reframe that I've seen time and time again, that people have an attachment to the gym or whatever it is, that they need to go to the gym to lose weight or to insert whatever goal is. And there's an outcome based attachment to that. Whereas when you reframe that, or when you do it for long enough, or you just build enough consistency around it, you just go to the gym because you're a person to go to the gym, and that just becomes a part of your life. And that is the biggest shift that I see with people. Sometimes, it's within a couple of months, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but that sort of shift of like, this is just a part of my life, the same as everything else. And that's the thing that will carry it through. And even with travel, like, I have clients that travel and they message me like, I'm going here. I'm like, okay, right, well, where are you staying? Here's the nearest gym. Or they'll go, these are 2 or 3 gym options around my hotel. What would you pick? And they're now prioritizing that whenever they're on the move, because it is a priority to them in their life.
I think the breakthrough that hit me was just the realization that, like, it doesn't have to be some scary, intimidating thing. Like, it doesn't have to be however long in the gym or meet whatever time threshold. It could literally just be walking on the treadmill. And I know that maybe that sounds small, maybe that sounds too trite, maybe we discounted it, or I don't know, but it just felt like, oh, I just go do that. And it doesn't have to be extremely hard, doesn't have to ruin me because I've worked all the muscles and, completely beat myself up for the day. It could be, as long as I just go and do something. That's a cool revelation that I never got. And I never figured out what to put in the MyFitnessPal or macros and protein and fat and all that. But once I figured out, oh, there's a system here, a little bit of math, a little bit of numbers, what goes in, what goes out. And I don't know. That was the cool epiphany, and I'm just excited and eager to do a little bit more of it. Still at the early beginnings, but it felt good. Like, I see it now. I get it.
Yeah, and I think it's the lowering the barrier of entry as much as possible. Do you know what I mean? If you're like, if you just have to walk downstairs and get on the treadmill and do a bit in the morning, that's the easiest thing you can do, and that will build the momentum. Whereas if you're like, right, I need to get a gym membership, I need to drive to the gym, I need to spend an hour and a half in the gym, then I need to get back, get showered, get ready, eat, like all of those things. It's like 10 levels of barrier to get in to do that. And every single one of them, you'll find an excuse or a reason not to do it. I'll put it back to you that, you said you've been listening to the podcast to sort of get the tips and tricks. If we were to give, I'll say, your audience and mine, yours are much grander than mine, but like the learnings, I guess, or the lessons, or the most valuable things that you found through your own journey, through listening to the podcast, through your own education, that if someone is like, I don't do any of this stuff, but I feel shitty and I want to feel better, like, where's the start point?
I don't know, maybe this sounds silly, but like, when we got to chat however many months ago, and I think in the early timelines, and maybe many of us think, oh, investing so much time into your health and investing all this time in fitness and doing the right thing to get them out of sleep and the mental clarity, it's something that I know I just kind of discounted. I was like, well, I got to keep doing all my stuff. I got to keep working. I got to get this stuff done. Maybe I can do that later. And I just didn't think that it could work. I didn't think that I could do it. I didn't think for me to be able to keep running hard, running fast, doing all the things that I could do, it wouldn't make sense for me to try and cram something else in, even if it were supposed to be something that would make me feel better, make me do more. I discounted it. And I think the breakthrough for me, and maybe the ones for others that listen in, it's just like, try it with the smallest, the tiniest, the sliver of just a little bit of that movement, a little bit of that momentum, what we've just all been talking about here. Even something as simple and small for me as walking on the treadmill. I didn't know that it could be, that's something that we start small with. But then when I kind of saw it's starting to work, I see enough of that routine that this feels good. And I didn't think that it could work for me, if that makes any sense, saying it out loud. I would give that as my advice, is just like, make it easy so you try it and you're not afraid of it. And it's neat when you see that success.
For sure. 100%. And it doesn't work for me. Again, I've seen it time and time again. And maybe it is the first thing that you ever try and you think this isn't going to work for me because of whatever reason that you want to tell yourself. Or there's maybe people listening that they have tried in the past or they failed and they've maybe, they've went too hard. They have I'll go all in and, I'm going to go from absolutely no movement. I'm training for a marathon or some like enormous goal. And that's the thing that fails. And, they have that sort of, I guess, evidence to back up that they've maybe tried 4, 5, 6, 7 times at different things and it quote unquote doesn't work for them because of their experience. I think for me, it's just don't discount all of the things because of your experience from one thing or one time or however many it is. And like you said, it's just start something, because the benefit, the feeling, the energy, the clarity, the mood, everything that comes along with it it's worth whatever sacrifice that you feel like you need to make in terms of time based on, what you feel like you need to do in your job or in your role.
Can we pull that thread just a little bit? Because I know at the same time, I will slip and maybe over the weekend I'm getting together with friends and I'll have a big pizza or have a couple drinks or whatever. I don't know. But kind of as you were alluding to earlier, it's like, all right, hey, let's keep one foot on the wagon. And then the next day we'll still be back in the gym to work away on what we should be doing. But I'm not going to beat myself up for having the time with friends and enjoying a good big meal. But that's in moderation, right? We're not doing that every day. It's the once in a blue moon special occasions kind of thing. So, but not. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think that's people associate, say, we'll talk about want to lose weight or get in better shape, because that's generally, what people come to me for, what people the thought that they come to me for. There is a relationship with food that we need to break down. There's a demonizing of certain foods, and there's a sort of unwritten rule, or potentially it's written somewhere, I don't know, of like, if I'm going to do this, I need to eliminate everything that I enjoy and my life will be miserable because I can't eat pizza or drink margaritas with my friends anymore. And I very specifically remember, it was maybe about just over 4 years ago, a client of mine, we had the conversation and he was like, look, before we get into this, like, I need to tell you that, during lockdown or whatever, me and my wife got into the habit that every Friday night we would make pizza, and it became a bit of a ritual, and I want to make sure we maintain that. And I'm like, hell yeah, we will maintain that, because that's something you do with your wife. Like, it's a life thing. And I think understanding that if you want to do this long term, it needs to be a lifestyle. Because yes, okay, if I said to you now, we'll do this for 6 months and you can be super restrictive and on it and whatever, and maybe you could do 6 months, but you cannot maintain that forever. And it's accepting that you want to be able to do those things where you enjoy the time with the people that you love. And like, what's the point in doing all of the work and all of those things if you can't actually enjoy yourself or enjoy life? So building it in a way that it is a lifestyle, and it's making those the not always things, but taking them into consideration throughout the rest of the week. So if we talk about the weekend and we talk about pizza, for example, if I know on Saturday I'm going to go out for pizza, I'll just maybe pull back my calories a little bit a couple of days before, and I have a little bit more freedom, and maybe I'll have a margarita, and that's okay. total average of my calories are probably where I need to be for the week, instead of just looking at it day by day. And then the next day I just get straight back on it. It's whenever it bleeds into the next day and the next day and the next day. And then it just, you fall back into those habits and patterns. So it's treat it as this is the day, treat it as an individual occurrence, and not I'll use Dave as an example here. I wasn't going to, because I don't want us to keep talking about Dave, but I remember the very first time we were maybe 5 months into coaching, and he sent me this real erratic series of messages. He'd be like, "Look, I'm really sorry, but I went out last night over my buddy's house. We played poker, and I had 4 slices of pizza, and I drank a couple of beers. I think that I've ruined all of my progress, and I'm really, really sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do 2 hours of cardio to sort of balance things out." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! No. That's a part of this. You can't go forever without doing those things." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, you want to be able to live your life and do the things that you enjoy. It's not necessarily about always eating clean or good foods or whatever it needs to look like." And we have managed that situation much better since then. But it's looking at, your days and your weeks, and looking at the majority of the things that you do being in line with the goal that you're trying to achieve, but having a little bit of flexibility and freedom of, maybe I do enjoy a chocolate bar, maybe I do enjoy going out for dinner, or maybe I do enjoy a drink. All of those things are okay. It's whenever you take them into consideration. And it's like you said, it's a moderation thing, and it's an understanding that you do those some of the time, but not all of the time. I mean, we can't. I would hate a life without pizza.
I'm right there with you. I think what I, again, just am falling on and loving is really seeing and coming to the light of okay, if I just kind of zoom out, if I'm looking at me, myself, the time that I spend, what I eat and when, and not to say, just one each and every day, at just microscopic scale of just what happened in this day, but what have I been doing for the past couple of weeks, for the past month, for however many months in this year? That's the long game, right? A long haul lifestyle. And that's when it's like, well, it's okay if I slip or if I lose my grip one day, it's just one out of many. If I keep stockpiling, I keep doing all the right things on those other days. But the hardest part for me, and what I know I was stuck on for some time ago, and still am back and forth, but I never could zoom out. I was just stuck in the rat race. I was just chasing the next deliverable. I just wanted to get another deadline and get work out the door. That's maybe part of the coolest thing for me, is getting to understand what systems, what structure, how can I zoom out and see a bigger picture. Again, that's just what, if anyone is listening and feeling that same way, maybe that's another phrasing that helps get this right in your mind, or how does it stick for someone else and other folks listening in. But it's still a journey. I'm still figuring it out. But I appreciate you, Ben, and you and Dave, helping that podcast.
Still figuring it out. I'm not saying that I've cleared to do everything, but you're absolutely right. It's like you said, it's a journey. Truthfully, it's a lifelong commitment. If you think about it, the people that I work with, the aim is to give them the tools that they can do it forever. It's not a 6-week transformation. There's a lot to unpack, and many relationships with food and behaviors and habits that we need to eliminate or rewire or whatever. So looking at it as a lifelong journey, and even Dave, we still have conversations of things that we can optimize and whatever else. So look at it as a lifelong journey, zoom out. But yeah, thanks for joining me, John.
Hey, thank you, Ben.
This is super another cool. Time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you all my updates, and as I'm still chipping away at all this, but I am really grateful for you reaching back out and us getting a chance to chat again. I hope I'll catch you at whatever next DEF CON or Black Hat or whatever event and all the things that we're up to. But it's super good to catch up and chat.
Cool. I will send you a message after this about planning for certain conferences and other events, and maybe you want to get involved in that. But thank you for joining me. Thanks for everybody who's been listening, and I guess we'll catch you next time.